The phone lies face down, but the mind drafts a message never sent. Each word unspoken loops again, carving deeper into silence. The urge to explain, to chase, to hold, on it hums beneath the surface. A reflex, a trap, one more draft, one more glance at a screen that gives nothing back, and the cycle continues. This is not control. This is reaction, dressed as restraint. What's gained by writing words no one will read? The mind insists it's closure, a way to quiet the ache. But each draft is a weight, stacking silently until the system bends. The PAIN doesn't fade, grows heavier with every unsent line. The logic seems sound until it isn't. How many times has this loop run, disguised as progress? The cost isn't loud. It's not a scream or a collapse. It's the slow drip of numbness, eroding what's left of clarity. Each replay of an old conversation, each imagined reply, steals a piece of presence. The system frays, not because of what was lost, but because of what's still held. Invisible regret builds in the quiet moments when no one else sees. The longer it runs, the less remains to ground the self. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote those words, not to inspire, but to cut through noise. The mind is not a stage for endless rehearsals. It's a system that can be reset. One choice, one pause, can break the loop if the weight is dropped. Are you drafting silence? Or just delaying the same chase? The question isn't about guilt. It's about seeing the pattern for what it is. The reflex to hold, to explain, to revisit it. Not freedom. It's a tether, pulling tighter with every loop. Look at it. Not to judge, but to SEE. The system doesn't need more words. It needs less. 10 habits held him still. They start here, in the pause that cuts the noise. Why open the app when the screen stays empty? What's kept by scrolling through words already read? Does the next check bring clarity, or just another loop? How many times does the hand hover, waiting for a reply that never comes? Is it control, or just chasing in silence? What's gained by answering a void? The pause is the break. It cuts the noise and leaves only stillness. Habit 1. Pause before reaction. The hand hovers over the phone, ready to fire a reply to a slight, a word, a look, a silence from someone else. It stings. The urge to respond surges, sharp and immediate. It feels like control, like setting things right, but it's not. It's reaction, raw and unfiltered, pulling the mind into a spiral. The body tenses, the breath shortens, and the words form before the mind can catch them. This is the trap, the reflex that feels like strength but leaves only chaos. Each snap, each quick retort, builds a chain. It doesn't resolve it, escalates. The sting grows into anxiety, looping through the mind long after the moment passes. A single reply becomes hours of replaying, questioning, justifying. The cost isn't just the argumentates, the presence lost to a cycle that never needed to start. The system overloads, not from the slight, but from the choice to engage. What's gained by answering noise with more noise? Nothing. But the loss is real. What need is there to answer? Marcus Aurelius wrote. The question cuts through. The world throws its barbed swords, silences, slights. They don't demand a response. They demand nothing. The power lies in the pause, in letting the urge rise and fall without feeding it. A breath, a moment of stillness, rewires the reflex. The system doesn't need to fight, it needs to reset. Step back. Breathe through the heat. Let the impulse pass. It's not suppression, it's discipline. The slight fades when it's not fed, the mind clears when it's not chasing. One pause, one choice to stay still, breaks the loop. It's not about winning the moment, it's about owning the self. The world will keep throwing noise, but you don't have to catch it. Response, reaction. The pause isn't just a gap, it's a signal. It marks the line between being pulled and standing firm. Habit 2. Detach from approval. The words spill out, too quick, too eager to please. A nod, a smile, a sign of agreement, it's chased like air. The mind bends, shifts, molds itself to fit what others might want. It feels like connection, like being seen, but it's not. It's attachment, a leash tied to someone else's gaze. Every gesture, every careful phrase, tightens the knot, and the self slips further away. Seeking approval doesn't build, it erodes. Each moment spent shaping words for others carves out a piece of truth. The cost is shame, quiet but heavy, settling in the chest when the mirror shows a stranger. The need to be liked, to be validated, isn't freedom, it's a trap. It pulls the mind into a loop of explaining, adjusting, hoping. The system falters, not from rejection, but from the weight of trying to be enough for everyone else. What's left when the self is spent on others' eyes? Nothing but a hollow ache. The leash is an illusion. Others' opinions are not yours to carry, Marcus Aurelius noted. Their nods don't define you. Their silence doesn't diminish you. The mind is a fortress, not a stage. Detachment cuts the rope. It's not coldness, it's clarity. Let their thoughts be theirs. Yours are enough. Say less. Let the urge to please rise and fall. Don't adjust the truth to fit their frame. Stand in it. The discomfort of not being seen passes. The strength of being whole remains. One choice to let go. One moment of standing unswayed rebuilds the core. The world will pull, but you don't have to bend. Detachment is a form of respect. The mind, unhooked, finds its own weight. A single image holds it steady. The mind is a machine, jammed with inputs, each one a pull, a demand, a flicker of need, approval sought, words unsaid, glances replayed, they pile up, clogging the system. Shut one off. The noise doesn't own you. The choice to clear it does. Habit 3. See the loop? The finger hovers. The screen glows. A profile, a message, a moment from months ago it calls. The mind obeys, scrolling through words already known, replaying lines that never changed. It feels like understanding, like piecing together what was lost. But it's not. It's overthink, a cycle that spins without end. Each swipe, each linger, locks the mind in a loop, and the present slips away. Every revisit costs more than it gives. The mind chases meaning in old words, but finds only invisible loss. Hours vanish, stolen by a past that doesn't answer. The system doesn't heal, it fractures. Regret grows, not from what happened, but from the choice to keep looking back. The loop doesn't resolve it, deepens the cut. What's gained by rereading a story already finished? Nothing but a heavier weight. You become what you give your attention to, Epictetus said. The mind is a lens, not a chain. Focus it or it binds you. See the pattern. Not to judge, but to know. The urge to check, to dwell, to unravel, it's not truth. It's noise. Awareness breaks the cycle. One choice, to look away, one moment of clarity, resets the system. Not checking isn't avoidance, it's control. Close the app, let the urge rise and fade. The past stays where it is. The mind doesn't have to follow. Stand here, in this moment, and see the loop for what it is. The system clears when the input stops. The world will pull, but you don't have to turn back. The void is where it clears. Clarity cuts deeper than dwelling. The next habit holds the line. Habit 4. Hold silence. The mouth opens. Words rush to fill the gap. A misunderstanding, a slight, a moment of being unseen, it demands defense. The urge to explain surges to make them understand, to prove the truth. It feels like clarity, like reclaiming ground, but it's not. It's a reflex, spilling words into a void that doesn't listen. Each sentence, each plea, tightens the grip of need, and the self dissolves. Explaining doesn't mend its traps. The more words poured out, the heavier the fear of being misjudged. The mind replays the moment, crafting better phrases, sharper points, but nothing lands. The cost is inner weight, eroded by the chase for validation. The system doesn't stabilize its spins. The need to be heard isn't freedom, it's a cage. What's gained by filling silence with noise? Nothing but a deeper ache. No one can harm you unless you let them, Marcus Aurelius wrote. Their misunderstanding isn't your burden. Their silence isn't your fault. The mind doesn't need to plead, it needs to hold. Silence is not surrender, it's discipline. Let their words hang, let their judgments pass. The truth doesn't need your defense. Not explaining is power. Let the urge to speak rise and fall. Sit with it. The discomfort fades when it's not fed. The mind steadies when it's not chasing. One choice to stay quiet. One moment of restraint rebuilds the core. The world will misjudge, but you don't have to answer. Silence isn't surrender. The weight of silence anchors the self. A single exchange sharpens the edge. Emotional self. They need to know why I'm right. Stoic self. They don't. Your truth doesn't need their nod. Move on. Habit 5. Release the past. The mind clings. A memory, a moment, a name. It replays a conversation, a glance, a door that closed. The details sharpen with each pass, vivid, heavy, as if holding them keeps something alive. It feels like loyalty, like preserving what mattered, but it's not. It's clinging, a system error that locks the present in chains. Each recall, each linger, buries the self deeper, and the now fades. Holding the past doesn't restore, it destroys. The mind runs old data, searching for answers that don't exist. The cost is numbness, a slow bleed of vitality. Regret grows, not from what was lost, but from the choice to keep it tethered. The system crashes, overloaded with inputs that no longer serve. The past isn't a guide, it's a weight. What's kept by carrying a story that's done, nothing but a fractured core. The present is all you have, Marcus Aurelius wrote. The past is not yours to hold. It's a shadow, not a chain. Release it. The mind is a machine, not a vault. Old data slows, it delete it. Let go isn't loss, it's clarity. The system runs clean when the load is dropped, turning off the screen, the album. The thought, it's not denial, it's discipline. Let the memory rise and pass. Sit with it, then let it fade. The discomfort of release is brief. The freedom of an unburdened mind lasts. One choice to drop the weight, one moment of unhooked presence rebuilds the system. The past will call, but you don't have to answer. Let go isn't weakness. The system, cleared, finds its own rhythm. The next habit grounds it. Habit 6. Ground in presence. The mind flees. A ping, a scroll, a noise to drown the quiet. Discomfort rises a thought, a memory, a sting, and the hand reaches for distraction. It feels like relief, like stepping out of the weight, but it's not. It's escape, a reflex that trades clarity for chaos. Each swipe, each shift pulls the self further from the now, and the system drifts. Running from stillness doesn't free, it binds. The mind chases noise to bury pain, but the cost is emptiness. Hours blur, lost to screens, sounds, anything but the self. The system doesn't rest, it frays. The urge to flee isn't strength, it's a loop. Awareness slips, not because of the discomfort, but because of the choice to avoid it. What's gained by filling silence with static? Nothing but a hollowed core. To be everywhere is to be nowhere, Seneca wrote. The present is the only ground. Noise is not your anchor, breath is. Be here. The mind is a point, not a maze. Ground it. Stillness isn't absence. It's presence. The system steadies when it stays. Breath. Let the discomfort rise and hold. No screen, no sound, just the moment. Sit with it. The urge to flee fades when it's faced. The mind roots when it's not pulled. One choice to stay, one moment of quiet, rebuilds the center. The world will clamor, but you don't have to leave. Stillness is enough. The ground holds firm. A single truth sharpens the focus. 80% of daily thoughts are repetitive. Most fuel regret. The mind spins, caught in loops it doesn't see. Stop one. The system clears, and the chase ends. Habit 7. Refrain from chasing. The mind lunges. A reply, a closure, a sign that hasn't come. The urge to pursue burns into the message. Check again. Demand an answer. It feels like resolution, like reclaiming what's owed. But it's not. It's chasing. A trap that promises peace but delivers none. Each step forward, each press for clarity, tightens the grip of hope blindly, and the self unravels. Chasing doesn't close it wounds. The mind runs after shadows, expecting them to solidify. The cost is rejection, not from others, but from the self. Each unanswered reach deepens the ache, feeding anxiety that lingers long after the pursuit. The system doesn't gain, it breaks. The need for closure isn't control, it's surrender. What's won by chasing what won't return? Nothing but a heavier void. You don't need their answer to be whole, Marcus Aurelius implied. The world owes no explanation. The mind owes itself withdrawal. Chasing fixes nothing, it fuels the loop. Step into the trap and it tightens. Step back and it dissolves. Refrain. The system steadies when the pursuit stops. Walk away. Let the urge to chase rise and pass. Not texting isn't defeat, it's discipline. The silence of no reply holds more than their words ever could. One choice to stop, one moment of restraint cuts the cycle. The world will dangle its bait, but you don't have to bite. You don't owe anything. The line is drawn. The next habit watches without wavering. Habit 8. Observe without judgment. The chest tightens. A wave of anger, shame, or fear crashes in. The reflex is to push it down, to suppress, to bury it beneath a mask of calm. It feels like strength, like mastering the storm, but it's not. It's denial. A pressure valve sealed shut. Each buried feeling festers, unseen, and the system strains. Suppression doesn't clear at clouds. The mind locks emotions away, but they don't vanish. They grow, feeding anxiety that hums beneath the surface. The cost isn't the feeling itself, it's the weight of fighting it. The system doesn't heal by hiding its fractures. Judging the self as weak for feeling keeps the cycle alive. What's gained by battling what's already here? Nothing but a heavier load. Feelings are not your enemy, Epictetus taught. They pass like clouds. The mind doesn't need to fight them, it needs to witness. Observe the wave. Not to fix, not to judge, but to see. The storm moves when it's not held. Non-reaction is not weakness, it's clarity. The system steadies when it watches. Contrast the reflex. Suppress, and the wave builds. Observe, and it flows. Sit with it. Let the feeling rise. Name it. Let it pass. No fight, no flight, just presence. The discomfort of seeing fades. The strength of staying grows. One choice to watch. One moment of quiet cuts the fight. The world will stir the heart, but you don't have to judge it. Not doing is power too. The gaze holds steady. A single voice traces the path. Seneca wrote daily to see his flaws, not to fix them, but to know them. He sat with the truth. The system didn't bend, it held. Habit 9. Command the impulse. The voice rises, a sharp retort to a careless word. A slight lands, and the urge to snap back surges, hot and immediate. It feels like justice, like reclaiming ground, but it's not. It's reacting, a spark that ignites chaos. The body tenses, the mind races, and the words spill before they're weighed. Each outburst, each unchecked impulse, fractures the system, and the self slips. Acting on impulse doesn't free, it binds. The mind follows the heat, leaving grief in its wake. A moment's anger becomes hours of regret, replaying what could have been said, or not. The cost isn't the slight, it's the loss of self-command. The system doesn't strengthen by lashing out, it weakens. The urge to react isn't power, it's surrender. What's gained by letting the spark burn? Nothing but a scorched core. If it's not right, don't do it, Marcus Aurelius wrote. The impulse is not the self, it's noise. Command it. The mind is a gate, not a flood. Hold the line. Discipline isn't suppression, it's clarity. One pause, one breath, rewires the reflex. The system steadies when the spark is starved. Breathe through. Let the urge rise and pass. Not reacting isn't weakness, it's strength. The slight fades when it's not fed. The mind clears when it's not chasing. One choice to hold, one moment of restraint, rebuilds the core. The world will provoke, but you don't have to answer. You don't have to react. The core holds firm. The final habit stands. Habit 10. Stay still in chaos. The world roars. A flood of noise, demands, distractions. The instinct is to flee, to avoid, to find a corner where the storm can't reach. It feels like safety, like shielding the self. But it's not. It's retreat. A reflex that trades ground for isolation. Each step back, each turn away, narrows the space where the mind can stand, and the chaos grows louder. Flaying doesn't calm, it consumes. The mind dodges discomfort, but the storm follows. The cost is not the chaos itself, it's the emptiness left when presence is abandoned. The system doesn't anchor by running, it drifts. The urge to escape isn't control, it's surrender. What's gained by hiding from the flood? Nothing but a fractured core. Chaos is a storm. Stand in it. You can be steady in any weather, Marcus Aurelius wrote. The mind is not the storm, it's the ground. Stay still. Stillness isn't passivity, it's cold peace. The system holds when it faces the roar. Breathe through the noise, let it rage and pass. Sit with it. No retreat, no distraction, just presence. The discomfort of standing fades. The strength of staying grows. One choice to remain, one moment of unyielding quiet, roots the self. The world will churn, but you don't have to move. You can end without drama. The habits end, but the weight remains. 10 cuts, 10 pauses, 10 moments to stand still. The system doesn't need more rules, it needs less noise. The system hums quieter now. Each habit, a cut, stripping away the noise, reaction, attachment, chasing. The mind doesn't need to run. It doesn't need to prove. It only needs to be here. The loops overthink, regret, they fade when the inputs stop, not by force, but by choice. One pause, one silence, one moment of stillness, and the weight lifts. The past called. You didn't answer. The urge surged. You didn't follow. The chaos roared. You didn't move. These aren't victories, they're resets. The system doesn't need glory. It needs clarity. Each habit builds the frame. Pause, Delaware Tatch. Observe, Colorado MMAD. The world pulls, but the self holds. Not because it's strong, but because it's steady. The core doesn't ask for noise. It asks for space. The habits carved it, silence over e-explanation, stillness over chasing, presence over escape. The mind, once tangled in loops, now sees them. Not to fight, but to witness. The system doesn't need to outrun pain, it needs to let it pass. Each choice to pause, to detach, to stay still, builds not strength, but inner weight. The world hasn't changed. Its demands, its slights, It's chaos they hum, as always. But the reflex shifts. A message left unsent. A glance not returned. A storm faced without flinching. These are not endings, they're beginnings. The system resets, not to erase numbness or regret, but to ground them in awareness. The self holds, not because it's whole, but because it's here. The quiet deepens. No need to fill it. The habits pause, Delaware attach, releaser and tools to fix the self. They're cuts, clearing what clouds the system. The mind doesn't chase closure or flee chows anymore. It sees. Not to judge, not to mend, but to be. The loops of overthink, the weight of shame, the pull of reaction, they rise, but they pass. Not because you're stronger, but because you're still. A slight lands. You don't snap back. A memory calls. You don't linger. A void opens. You don't run. These choices aren't triumphs. They're discipline. The system doesn't need applause. It needs silence. Each habit a marker. Observe. Colorado, and stay. The world spins, but the self doesn't have to. Not because it's free, but because it's grounded. The system runs clear. No static. No pull. The habits SEE, Wisconsin THDRO, hold strip away the noise of chasing, clinging, reacting. The mind doesn't need to fill the gaps. It doesn't need to answer the world's roar. It stands in the breath, in the moment, in the quiet. The aches loss, fear, emptiness, they don't vanish. They pass. Not because you forced them, but because you let go. A screen stays dark. You don't check. A slight stings. You don't explain. A storm rages. You don't flinch. These aren't acts of will, they're non-reaction. The system doesn't crave closure. It craves presence. Each habit a cut. To tack, observe, stay still. The world demands, but the self decides. Not because it's perfect, but because it's centered. The rest is stillness. Not an end, but a pause. The habits pause, Delaware attach, release. Observe don't erase the weight of pain or regret. They clear the noise around it. The mind doesn't need to outrun the past or silence the world. It needs to be here, in the breath, in the quiet. The system holds, not because it's whole, but because it's steady. A message goes unsent. The urge fades. A memory rises. It passes. Chaos calls. You stand. These aren't solutions. They're discipline. The system doesn't seek applause or closure. It seeks clarity. Each habit a marker. Withdraw. Colorado. Manned. Stay. The world pulls, but the self remains. Not because it's strong, but because it's present. The screen goes dark. The room holds only breath. No hum, no pull, no noise. The hand rests, unmoving, free from the urge to check, to chase, to fill the void. A moment, unforced, unscripted. Just stillness. The reply wasn't sent. The memory wasn't chased. The chaos wasn't answered. Not because it was easy, but because it was chosen. The system didn't bend, it held. Not to win, not to mend, but to be here. The weight of silence settles. Not heavy, but steady. What's kept by answering the storm? The question hangs, not to solve, but to SEE. The mind doesn't need to run. It doesn't need to prove. It only needs this breath, this pause, this ground. Presence is a choice that holds.